How many players in history can say they conquered 5 Champions Leagues, wore the jersey of the biggest club in the world for 16 years, and retired as the most decorated player in the history of Real Madrid? Few, very few. And one of them is Brazilian Marcelo Vieira. The left-back, born in Rio de Janeiro, was not only a protagonist of one of Madrid's most glorious eras, but also a direct witness, and at times a victim, of one of the most intense and fascinating rivalries football has ever seen. Cristiano Ronaldo versus Lionel Messi. Marcelo debuted for Real Madrid in 2007 at 18 years old, with a shy smile but with a personality that soon adapted to the highest levels of competition. Throughout his 546 matches with the White Club, he scored 38 goals, provided 103 assists, and became a symbol of grit, technique, and charisma. He won 25 titles, being the captain who lifted the 14th Champions League in Paris. After his time at Olympiacos and a triumphant return to Fluminense where he was crowned in the 2023 Libertadores, Marcelo hung up his boots in February 2025 at the age of 36. But during his farewell from the pitch, he couldn't stop telling stories. In a recent appearance on the popular Brazilian podcast TH7 Cortez, Marcelo broke the silence about a truth that few dare to say so naturally. What was it like to live up close through the silent and explosive war between two titans, CR7 and TH7? And he let everything out with a mix of astonishment, humor, and brutal honesty. What was it like to live with Cristiano Ronaldo during training sessions? What does it feel like to watch your teammate score 60 goals in a single season? Marcelo doesn't hesitate. It was inexplicable. In his conversation with TH7 Cortez, the former fullback details what it meant to stand beside a machine obsessed with surpassing himself day by day. Man, sometimes Messi would score 2 and Cristiano would score 3. Then Messi would score 3 and Cristiano 4. CR7 would score 4 and he'd score 5. And it was normal. Marcelo recalls, still laughing at the memory. For him, what was impressive wasn't just the absurd number of goals, but the regularity with which Ronaldo broke records. The guy arrived in the league and the top scorer was Raul with 24. And this guy hits me with 60 in one season. That doesn't exist. More than numbers, Marcelo was witness to a living obsession. Every year Cristiano broke a record. Every year he surpassed himself, he says. With a look between respect and amazement, he confesses, he had a hunger to score goals that few have, and it wasn't just to show off with dribbles, it was to get the job done. That coexistence transformed the Brazilian. He reveals he saw up close just how competitive, professional, and methodical Cristiano was. He trained like every day was a Champions League final, and that rubbed off on all of us, he explains. But even with that admiration, Marcelo knew that on the other side of the field there was another phenomenon, even more enigmatic. And what was it like to mark Lionel Messi? Marcelo takes a deep breath and drops a phrase that says it all: God spare me. Throughout his career at Real Madrid, he faced the Argentine star dozens of times in Clásicos against Barcelona, but according to him, it was never a normal experience. The guy was super quiet the whole match. You tried to tackle him, and then you'd piss him off. He'd start dribbling, Marcelo says with a mix of respect and desperation in his voice. Unlike many stars who do tricks to impress, Messi was different. He didn't do elastics, he didn't put on a show. He just brushed the ball and that's it. Simple dribble. But he always got through. Marcelo believes Messi's secret was in his mind. I think he thinks before everyone else. Every time I went for the tackle, he had already gone. And when he managed to touch him, I tried to kick him, but it was too difficult. And when I got him, it was like lighting a match near gasoline. Boom! Explosion! The most unsettling thing, he says, was the silence. Messi rarely spoke on the field. He was super calm, didn't provoke, didn't complain, he just played. And destroyed. Even so, Marcelo kept trying to throw him off. It was the classic thing, right? You had to hit him, but he didn't care. With this story, Marcelo paints a classic spiritual picture of facing Messi. It wasn't just football. It was an inevitable, silent force that defied every law of the game. Did the players know they were living something historic? Marcelo answers bluntly, yes, we knew it was something abnormal. The era when Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi faced each other in every Clásico wasn't just a rivalry, it was a cosmic spectacle. And he, Marcelo, was right in the middle. In the podcast, he describes how inside the Real Madrid locker room, the players followed Messi's numbers almost obsessively. Messi scored 90 goals in a season. Nobody does that. Not even playing pickup on the weekend, he says, shaking his head. And still, Cristiano responded. The next year he'd score 60. It was one trying to surpass the other all the time. Marcelo also reveals that, far from what the press sometimes portrayed, there was mutual respect between them. They were on another level. It wasn't even about the Ballon d'Or. It was about competitiveness, about reinventing themselves every year. For him, the most surreal thing was seeing how they kept their hunger even after winning everything. The difference with the rest was that they were never satisfied. They always wanted more. And that, according to Marcelo, shaped an entire generation in European football. The Brazilian makes it clear that there was no way to stay neutral. Players, fans, press, everyone had a side. And even inside Real Madrid, Messi's shadow loomed. You could have, Cristiano, but you knew Messi was on the other side. And he also wanted to make history. So then, Messi or Cristiano? That's the question millions have asked for more than a decade. And Marcelo, who lived that battle from the inside, finally dared to answer it. During the TH7 Cortez podcast, after many compliments to both, the former Brazilian fullback hinted at his choice. Both are on another level, but marking Messi was impossible. The phrase, said casually, carries enormous weight. It isn't just about numbers, titles, or fan preferences. It's about the real experience of a defender who spent years facing the best in the world. Marcelo defines Cristiano as a machine of precision, discipline, and obsession. The guy trained every day like it was a final and delivered. He wanted to score goals more than he wanted to breathe. But when he speaks about Messi, the tone changes. There is more than respect. There is a silent, almost mystical admiration. He doesn't dribble to humiliate. He dribbles to solve. He's efficient. He's a genius. The difference, according to him, lies in the nature of their talents. Cristiano built his greatness with relentless work. Messi seems to have been born with it. And that, for Marcelo, makes the Argentine harder to decipher. Messi thinks ahead. You go for the tackle and he's already gone. And he doesn't do tricks, just what's necessary, and he makes it look easy. In the end, Marcelo avoids a direct choice, but the undertones say everything. For someone who was on the field, marking Messi step by step, and seeing Cristiano in the same team, the silent genius of the Argentine appears to have left a deeper mark. What goes through a player's mind when he knows he's about to face Lionel Messi in a Clásico? Marcelo answers with disarming sincerity. You walk into the locker room already thinking we're screwed. The tension started before stepping onto the pitch. The atmosphere was war, tactical, physical, and mental. And at the center of it all was always him, Messi. Marcelo says that during matches against Barcelona, there was no room to breathe. Every touch of the ball was calculated, every tackle precise. But with Messi, nothing was predictable. He didn't talk, he just played. And when he decided to play, forget it. The fullback recalls that sometimes Messi would go 20 minutes disappearing, walking, and suddenly with one ball he would change the whole match. It was like he was listening to another frequency. Amid the intense rivalry, there were also provocations, kicks, and crossed glances. There were matches where I'd hit him, and he wouldn't even look at me. Others where he'd give me a little smile. Then I'd think, that's it, I woke up the demon. And that was exactly it. A Messi awakened was almost unstoppable. Marcelo also highlights how players like Casemiro and Sergio Ramos knew how to foul intelligently, while he himself admits, I fouled badly because of anxiety. They knew the exact moment. In one of those stories, he remembers a match against Liverpool in which Casemiro solved everything with a surgical tackle. Zidane just nodded. He knew he had done it right. But with Messi, no tackle was enough. And that, in the soul of a defender, creates a unique type of frustration, the kind that comes from having no control, even when giving everything. Who can say they lived up close the most glorious era of modern football? Who can claim they marked Messi face-to-face and watched Cristiano reinvent himself every year from the locker room? Marcelo Kahn, and now retired at 36 with 25 titles in his backpack and stories that sound like legends, he can tell it all with the lightness of someone who has nothing left to prove. When speaking about Messi and Cristiano, Marcelo doesn't get into the game of empty comparisons. He offers context, living memory, sweat, and marks on the skin. I saw what it was like to play against a silent genius, and I lived with another who was pure obsession. Both shaped my career, he sums up. That sentence alone explains everything. He wasn't just a spectator, he was part of the story. Messi, for Marcelo, represents the impossible dressed in simplicity. Cristiano, the improbable turned into routine through sweat and mentality. And he, Marcelo, was the bridge between those two worlds, facing one and defending the other. There's no resume that holds that much experience. In his farewell, Marcelo makes it clear, "My story as a player is over, but I still have a lot to give to football." And anyone who listened to that podcast knows he still has a lot to teach. His words are more than memories. They are living documents of a golden era. After all, who better to tell the truth about Messi and Cristiano than someone who had to mark them, share the field with them, and carry the weight of having seen up close what no fan will ever see?